In the 7th year of the Daya era of the Sui dynasty, in 611 AD, the seeds of chaos had long been buried in the soil of the lower reaches of the Yellow River. The reckless excesses of Emperor Yang of Sui, Yang Guang, struck like a heavy hammer, shattering the stability of the common people's lives. Laborers exhausted themselves to death at the canal construction sites, while the repeated campaigns against Goguryeo led by Yu Zhongwen pushed countless families to the brink of ruin. That year, Wang Bo, a native of Qinghe Commandery in Shandong, was the first to rise in rebellion. With his song, "The Nameless Ones Die in the Waves of Liaodong," he called upon the masses, igniting the prelude to the great peasant uprisings at the end of the Sui. At this time, Xu Shiji, who later changed his name to Li Ji, was still a young man in Huazhou, present-day Hua County, Shaanxi, the son of Xu Gai. The Xu family was wealthy, owning thousands of hectares of fertile land and countless servants. Yet on the eve of turmoil, they too were filled with anxiety. At 17 years old, Xu Shiji, hearing of the raids and conquests by Wang Bo's rebel army and watching local unrest unfold, began to form his own plan. He approached his father and said firmly, "The forces of Jairang are nearby. Rather than waiting for them to plunder us, why not take our family wealth and join them willingly? In this way, we can preserve the family and also seek a way out amid the chaos." Xu Gai, seeing the determination in his son's eyes, hesitated at first, doubting the prospects of the rebels. Yet he knew it was impossible to move their stockpiles of grain, lands, and herds quickly. Finally, he nodded in agreement. Father and son carried their wealth and joined the rebels at Wagang Fort. Almost at the same time, the local heroes Shan Zhongxin and Wang Bodang also joined. From then on, Wagang Fort had 4 core leaders, and its forces expanded rapidly from several thousand to more than 10,000 men. Jairang, though the original founder, lacked long-term strategy and was more like the chivalrous Chao Gai of Watermargin. Shan Xiongxin was a formidable warrior, hailed as the Flying General, comparable to Lin Chong. Wang Bodang was renowned for his loyalty to friends, while Xu Shiji became the strategist of Wagang. Xu Shiji soon proposed a crucial plan to Jairang. "Our base is here in our homeland, surrounded by familiar villages. If we continue to raid here, we will alienate our own people. Instead, let us move toward Zhengzhou and Shangqiu. Those places are near the canal, bustling with merchants and rich in resources. By seizing wealth there, we can then use it to aid the famine-stricken people of Huazhou. This way, we gain supplies and also attract more followers." Jairang readily accepted. The Wagang army crossed the Yellow River and swept forward with unstoppable momentum, capturing Zhengzhou, Shangqiu, and other cities. The grain and treasures they seized piled up like mountains. When news reached Luoyang, Emperor Yang of Sui flew into a rage. He immediately ordered Zhang Sutuo, the famed commander known for suppressing rebellions, to lead 20,000 troops to Henan to crush the Wagang army. Zhang Sutuo was no ordinary opponent. He had already suppressed rebels such as Wang Bo, Pei Changchai, and Lu Mingyue in Shandong. Under his command were fierce generals Qin Chong and Luo Shixin, undefeated in battle and feared across Shandong. Facing such a formidable enemy, the Wagang army soon fell into disadvantage. They were defeated in over 30 consecutive engagements, morale collapsing to rock bottom. Jairang panicked, gathering his men to say, "Zhang Sutuo is too strong, we cannot win. Let us abandon our spoils and retreat overnight to Wagang Fort." As the others agreed in despair, Wang Bodang stood up and said, "Do not lose heart. Not long ago, Li Mi joined us." His words reveal knowledge, and he is well versed in military strategy. Why not ask him for advice? Jairang, having no better option, agreed. "If Li Mi fails, we can still retreat later." Li Mi, once a prodigy famed for studying with books hung on ox horns and admired by Yang Su, had by then become a fugitive for joining Yang Xuangan's failed rebellion. Though neglected after seeking refuge at Wagang, now he finally had the chance to display his talent. When Jairang sought his counsel, Li Mi calmly proposed a strategy. Jiangsu is brave, but his men, having won repeatedly, are overconfident and fatigued. We can set up an ambush, lure them into overextending, and then strike by surprise. Jai Rang followed Li Mi's plan. As a result, the Wagang army ambushed successfully at Dahai Temple, killing Jiangsu and routing the Sui main force. With this victory, Li Mi's prestige soared, and he gradually took control of the Wagang army. Soon after, he led the army to seize Luoku Granary and Huiluo Granary, two major state warehouses. Opening the storehouses, he distributed food to the people, drawing hundreds of thousands of refugees to join. The Wagang army swelled to over 200,000, becoming the most powerful rebel force at the end of the Sui. Yet, the desire for power soon consumed Li Mi. Fearing that Jai Rang might reclaim authority, he plotted a Hongmen banquet and had Jai Rang assassinated in public. Amid the chaos, Xu Shiji was also struck by Li Mi's men and nearly killed. Though he survived by chance and harbored resentment, he still chose to remain with Wagang and assist Li Mi. In the first year of the Wud era, 618 AD, Li Mi faced Wang Shichong in a decisive battle at Mount Mang. At this critical moment, Li Mi committed a fatal mistake. He believed that the more troops he gathered, the greater his advantage would be. He forcibly consolidated over 100,000 miscellaneous troops, yet lacked effective command and coordination. Wang Shichong, meanwhile, led 20,000 elite cavalry to strike Wagang's weak points, and ultimately the Wagang forces were decisively defeated. With no way out, Li Mi led the remaining troops to surrender to Li Yuan in Guanzhong, and the glory of Wagang Fort came to an end. At that time, Xu Shiji was stationed at Liang, in what is now Henan province, holding large tracts of land and tens of thousands of soldiers. When he learned that Li Mi had submitted to the Tang, he did not seize the moment to declare himself independent, nor did he immediately present himself to Emperor Li Yuan. Instead, he wrote a letter and sent it to Li Mi. "The lands and people under my governance were granted by you in the first place. Now that you have submitted to the great Tang, I should follow you, but these assets do not belong to me alone, and I dare not give them to His Majesty without permission. I have therefore compiled them into registers and entrust them to you for transfer. May this be delivered to the public in the morning." Li Mi received the letter and was moved to tears. He had not expected that, after his defeat and fall from power, Xu Shiji would still be so loyal. When Li Yuan learned of this, he praised Xu Shiji without restraint. Xu Shiji is truly a minister of virtuous talent. He issued an edict appointing Xu Shiji as the governor of Liang, conferring the title Shang Zhiguo and Duke of Tao, granting him the surname Li and renaming him Xu Shiji. Later, to avoid a name clash with Emperor Taizong Li Shimin, he was again renamed Li Ji. But not long after, trials swiftly followed. First, Du Jiande in Hebei led an army of over 100,000 to attack Liang. At that time, Xu Shiji, though he had learned some military tactics during his time with Wagang, had not yet grown into an independent famed general. Facing Du Jiande's fierce assault, Xu Shiji soon failed and had to break out with only a few hundred men. Second, after Li Mi's surrender, he was unwilling to fade into obscurity and attempted to return east to recover his power, but was killed by Tang forces. More troublingly, Xu Shiji's father Xu Gai failed to escape in time and was captured by Du Jiande, becoming a hostage used to coerce Xu Shiji. Du Jiande sent a message urging Xu Shiji to surrender. Xu Shiji found himself torn. Du Jiande's character was known for magnanimity and benevolence in Hebei. With the Tang having just executed Li Mi, a recent defector like himself would inevitably be suspected. His father was in Du Jiande's hands. If he did not surrender, his father's life would be at risk. Yet Xu Shiji reflected that he had already submitted to the Tang. If he now surrendered to Du Jiande, would he not appear as the fickle Lu Bu? In the end, he decided to feign surrender to Du Jiande first to secure his father's life, while seeking an opportunity to return to the Tang. To gain Du Jiande's trust, Li Shiji volunteered for battle and led troops to attack Wang Shichong's territory, repeatedly distinguishing himself in combat. But just as he planned to rescue his father, his secret was unexpectedly revealed. Du Jiande flew into a rage and imprisoned Li Shiji. Li Shiji escaped by night with several dozen confidants and fled back to Guangzhou. After returning to Chang'an, Li Shiji soon met a new opportunity. At that time, Liu Wuzhou and Song Jinggang had led forces to invade Shanxi, and within 2 months had occupied the whole of Shanxi. Tang commanders suffered successive defeats with tens of thousands of casualties. Li Yuan once considered abandoning Shanxi, but Li Shimin resolutely took command and volunteered to lead an expedition with 30,000 troops. Li Yuan assigned Li Shiji to follow Li Shimin as a deputy general to Shanxi. This campaign became a training ground for Li Shiji's military career. Li Shimin employed a strategy of combined encirclement and attrition to wear down the enemy, engaging Song Jingyang for half a year and finally delivering a crushing defeat at the Battle of Baibi. Li Shiji, having achieved notable merit, witnessed firsthand how Li Shimin, though outnumbered, could triumph through superior planning, and he learned much practical battlefield experience. After the campaign, he followed Li Shimin in the battles at Hulao Pass and the campaign for Luoyang, and in the campaign against the Qin and Du kings and Wang Shichong, he performed his duties as deputy general excellently and gradually grew into an important Tang commander. In the first year of the Zhengguan era, 627 AD, Li Shimin ascended the throne. The Tang shifted from defensive to offensive foreign policy. In the third year of Zhengguan, 629 AD, the Eastern Turkic Khaganate suffered devastating losses from heavy snow and fell into decline. Seizing the opportunity, Li Shimin appointed Li Jing as supreme commander and Li Shiji, Chai Shao and Shui Wanche as generals, dispatching 5 columns northward against the Eastern Turks. Li Jing devised a plan of a cavalry raid on Dingxiang to ambush the Bai route. He personally led 3,000 cavalry in a raid on the residence of the Sheli Khagan at Dingxiang, present-day Horinga, Inner Mongolia, forcing Sheli to flee northward. Li Shiji led troops in advance to ambush along Xieli's likely escape route, positioning near present-day Hohhot, Inner Mongolia, to intercept the enemy. The plan proceeded smoothly. Li Jing's raid startled Xieli, who mistakenly believed the Tang main force had arrived. Despite pleas from Empress, Xiao, and Yang Guang's grandson Yang Zhengdao, Xieli hastily led over 100,000 troops in panic toward the Bai route, only to run into Li Shiji's ambush upon arrival. The Tang army, well rested and prepared, met a Turkic force exhausted and disorganized. In the ensuing battle, the Turkic army collapsed, suffering losses exceeding half their number. Xieli fled northward with remnants and sent envoys to Su for peace, attempting to buy time and escape to the northern deserts. Li Shimin outwardly sent envoys to appease Xieli while secretly ordering Li Jing and Li Shiji to continue the pursuit. Li Jing and Li Shiji conferred, "Xieli is cunning. If we let him reach the northern deserts and join the 9 surnames Tile, it will be hard to capture him. We should strike again while he is off guard." Li Ji fully agreed, saying, "Your Majesty sent envoys to pacify them precisely to lull Xieli into complacency. We can divide into 2 forces. I will go to Chikou, in today's Wulanhot, Inner Mongolia, to cut off his retreat, while you lead the army to attack head-on." Soon after, Li Jing led the troops to assault Xieli's main camp at Tishan, while Li Ji rushed to lay an ambush at Chikou. In this battle, the Tang officer Su Dingfang won great merit. Leading 200 cavalry in a fog, he launched a sudden raid on Tishan camp, shouting that the Tang main force had arrived. The Turkic forces fell into chaos. Xieli fled in panic, only to run headlong into Li Ji's army at Chikou. After fierce fighting, Xieli's remnants were annihilated. He himself was captured by the Turkic tribal leader Ashina Sunishi and handed over to the Tang. The destruction of the Eastern Turks brought long-term peace to the Tang's northern frontier. For his achievements, Li Ji was appointed governor of Bingzhou, where he served for 16 years. During this time, He ruled with both benevolence and authority, not only repelling invasions, but also managing local Turkic tribes with skill, making Bingzhou the most secure frontier stronghold of the Tang. Emperor Taizong once sighed, "Emperor Yang of Sui built the Great Wall, yet it could not stop the Hu people from crossing south. Now I have Liji guard Bingzhou for 16 years, and he is more effective than the Great Wall itself." In the 15th year of Zhengguan, 641 AD, Xueyantuo, taking advantage of the fall of the Eastern Turks, invaded south of the desert with 200,000 troops to seize their territory. Li Shimin appointed Li Ji as commander, leading 3,000 cavalry to resist them. At that time, the Xueyantuo ruler Dadu Shad had already brought 30,000 vanguard troops to the Great Wall, but because the Turkic leader Ashina Simo had burned the pastures and withdrawn to the steppe in advance, the war horses lacked fodder and morale was low. Just as Dadu Shad prepared to retreat, Li Ji pursued with his army. Seeing this, Dadu Shad turned back to fight, joined by 50,000 reinforcements, raising his strength to 80,000. Facing an enemy more than 10 times his size, Li Ji remained calm. He knew the Xueyantuo were skilled at dismounted infantry formations, combining foot soldiers in square formations with offensive maneuvers, while leaving 1/5 of their cavalry to guard the horses. Thus, he devised a strategy of feint and surprise. He ordered his deputy Shui Wansh to lead 3,000 Turkic cavalry around to seize the enemy's horses from the rear, while he personally led 3,000 Tang cavalry to confront them head-on. When battle began, the Xueyantuo deployed their infantry, phalanx and rained arrows, causing heavy Tang losses. At that moment, Sui Wanche successfully raided their rear and captured all their horses. Upon learning their horses were lost, the Xueyantuo panicked. Their base lay far to the north, and without horses, they had no way home. Li Ji seized the moment to order a full cavalry charge. The Xueyantuo collapsed in defeat, over 30,000 killed, 50,000 surrendered, and fewer than 20,000 escaped north. After this battle, Xueyantuo never recovered. 5 years later, torn by internal strife, they were destroyed by the Tang. With this victory, Li Ji's reputation as a great Tang general was firmly established. In the first year of the Zongjang era, 668 AD, at the age of 75, Li Ji once again donned armor, leading the Tang army to campaign against Goguryeo. By then, Goguryeo was already gravely weakened by the blows of Tang Taizong and Su Dingfang. Li Ji advanced with unstoppable momentum, ultimately capturing Pyongyang and extinguishing Goguryeo, fulfilling the long-cherished ambition of successive Tang emperors. Looking over his life, Li Ji rose from a youthful strategist at Wagang Fort to a founding hero of the Tang to a frontier guardian who safeguarded the empire. He lived through the chaos of the Sui's collapse, the establishment of Tang, the Zhengguan era of good governance, and the Yonghui prosperity, witnessing the Tang's rise and peak. Though he did not, like Li Shimin or Li Jing, hold an unbroken record of victories, his steady command and loyal character made him the most reliable pillar of the Tang. As the histories recorded, as a general he was wise and decisive, as a man he was open to others' counsel. When victorious, he gave credit to his subordinates, and the rewards he gained he distributed among soldiers and old friends. Thus men gladly followed him. This general, who served through 3 reigns and fought his whole life, died in the second year of Zongjang, 669 AD, at the age of 76. Emperor Gaozong ordered 7 days of mourning, posthumously named him Grand Commandant and Grand Governor of Yangzhou, and had him buried at Zhaoling, with his portrait placed in the Lingyan Pavilion, honoring his immortal contributions to the Tang. His story became a shining legend within the grandeur of the Tang Dynasty.